righty, give it a few seconds to breathe while Bwana pulls up the other chat in the back, waiting for him to give us the okay to go once it's going. And it looks like he's giving us the thumbs up. There it is. It's behind your mic icon, but that's whatever. I think we're good to go here. Guys, hello. Happy Halloween, and welcome to an episode of the Mile High Insiders. I am Nick Kendell today, joined by my good friend Luke Patterson. Luke, happy Halloween. How you doing?
Happy Halloween, man. I'm doing well. Chargers and Broncos right around the corner. So we got some tricks and treats we want to go over on this spooky Halloween in Broncos country. So super pumped to be a part of your Saturday night, man.
Yeah, thank you guys very much, and want to let you all know that tonight's live stream podcast is brought to you by sportsbetting.com. Broncos country gambling is now legal in the great state of Colorado, and here's what makes sportsbetting.com a no-brainer for all sports fans. They have sharp odds and low juice. They have in-house bookmakers. They don't use a third-party provider of odds. They have reduced juice and the best prices, hassle-free bonuses with a one-time rollover, which means the bonus money is yours after you bet it just one time. They also have 24/7 live customer support, which always means that a real live person is going to answer you. And here's the kicker. At sportsbetting.com/Mile High Huddle, you can get a 100% risk-free week of sports betting up to $1,000. Not just one bet, but all of your bets, every single one. Play for a week, and if your losses exceed your winnings at the end of the week, sportsbetting.com/Mile High Huddle will cover you for 100% of the difference up to a $1,000 rollover. So head over to sportsbetting.com at www.sportsbetting.com/Mile High Huddle. Again, that's www.sportsbetting.com/Mile High Huddle and capitalize on a risk-free week of sports betting, again, up to $1,000. Also, guys, make sure you're going over to Twitter. Follow us there. We have Luke Patterson at Luke Patterson LP, myself at Nick Kendell MHH. Also, guys, if you're joining us via YouTube, do us a huge favor. Like, subscribe, and share our show. And guys, on Facebook, click those little thumbs up, as we like to say. Also, don't miss our great content at milehighhuddle.com, an affiliate of Sports Illustrated. I just had an article go up today. I actually had one go up each of the past 3 days. I know Luke has some pieces come up. Yeah, we've been busy. End of the month, we just trying to get everything in. It's been chaos over here. I actually just got back from a hike as well. I summited Mount Eleanor today, so that was about 7.5 miles, 3,500 feet. Yeah, my legs are very tired, but it was beautiful. But we're not here to talk about my hikes. I know some people appreciate that out there, obviously with the Colorado folks, but we're here to talk trick or treat with the Denver Broncos. Which players through Broncos playing 5 games so far this year, 6 games so far this year, if they are tricks or treats. And I think I'm going to kick us off here. The first trick we have 3 tricks and 4 treats, just because, again, we want to be positive here. Everyone gets candy, treats around. But the first trick that I have here, Melvin Gordon. And I made sometimes I really want guys to succeed. I really do. And I was probably one of the hardest people on the Broncos when they signed Melvin Gordon, because if anybody's listened to me speak one time, just in passing on the street, I will yell at you running backs don't matter. So that's, again, paying the big money for Melvin Gordon. Didn't love it at the time. I thought he played pretty well considering the offensive line struggles early on outside of fumbles. I thought he played pretty well in that Jets game as well, but man, right back in the doghouse. Again, you guys know how I feel about paying running backs, even if it's a 2-year deal. You already had Phillip Lindsay. I don't get it. So Melvin Gordon, I want to believe, I want him to succeed, but so far, a giant trick.
A giant trick indeed. Melvin Gordon, man. What can I say about Melvin Gordon? He's awful. He's absolutely awful when he's on the field because he's a turnover machine. He's very consistent at being inconsistent. His distractions off the field, I think, have definitely gotten in his head on the field, and we saw some of that against the Chiefs. I mean, when you're pitching a flea flicker above Drew Lock's head, that's just a mental lapse. I know mistakes happen and things, but Melvin Gordon's a better player than that. I wasn't thrilled of him being here. You weren't thrilled of him being brought in, especially for the price that the Broncos are paying, but I definitely got to agree. He's an absolute trick. And it sounds funny saying that. I feel like I'm on a Dave Chappelle show, right? He's a trick. He's a player hater's ball. But no, he's an absolute trick, man. For me, he's such a liability. He just, the turnovers, the defenders know the ball's going to come out. And anytime Melvin Gordon is in the game, it's just a one-dimensional aspect of him running into the back of his offensive line. So I got to agree with you. In Broncos country, I see what you guys are saying on Twitter. Melvin Gordon does too. And, we got to hear about Melvin Gordon talk a little bit about that DUI and, explain that he felt bad. And I thought he could have came out a little more humble, Nick. I mean, that's, not to just get at a guy and interview and start grading his interviews. But to me, it just seemed like he was kind of glossing over it just a little bit and wanted to spit something out there to get ahead of it. And while I can see that, others need to move on from certain circumstances, it's a major distraction for the Denver Broncos. And that's all Melvin Gordon is right now.
Yeah, I mean, there is some value that he brings to the table. He's a sunk cost at this point for this season. We will see what happens with his guarantees for next year. After the DUI, there is some rumblings that those could be voided. And given the Broncos' financial situation, I mean, that could have fallout. He might not be here next year because of that if his guarantees are dropped off because of the DUI. But, I mean, again, we're not going to completely pile on him. I think he does still bring value in the pass game. He's a solid pass blocker. He's a good goal line back, but you're not paying top 5, top 10 running back money for a goal line back that is not explosive in the pass game. So, especially when you already have Phillip Lindsay, which I know Phillip Lindsay is a bit limited. You don't want to be a team that is run centric in today's NFL. And that's, I mean, with Lindsay, you're probably leaning that way, but that's the best way the Broncos can move the football right now. So again, I think that Gordon has been a trick. I think you could have saved some of that money, maybe spent on another offensive lineman or heck, another linebacker for coverage. I mean, Nick Kwiatkowski has been killing it for the Raiders, and he would be a big improvement over Josie Jewell. So, I mean, it's unfortunate. I see Stoney Neff coming in saying that considering Lindsay's always hurt, I think Gordon is worth every penny. He played great against the Jets. Read the last words of that. Yes.
It's the Jets, Stoney. I hear you. And you're right. Yeah. I mean, Nick, you hit it on the head too, before I even jump down Stoney's neck. Stoney, thank you for joining the show. Appreciate your input. It is really the Jets. And while the Jets are a professional football team, they're one of the worst teams I've ever seen play the game. So good evening, Greg. We're going to start saying what's up to some of our folks in here tonight too. But yeah, man, I just look at Melvin Gordon and I find myself screaming at the television anytime 30's not in the game. Heck, at a certain point, I want to see Royce Freeman get in there, and start to get some carries. It's just, you said it best. Melvin Gordon, he's that red zone running back, right? Well, the Broncos offense doesn't get in the red zone. So, like, what are we doing here? So we got Jeff weighing in here. Gordon, another Elway mistake. When will someone show Elway the door? Now, Jeff, I got to give you some pushback here too on that. And Nick, before I'm called, Elway, fanboy or anything like that. I do love John, by the way. I absolutely love him. Who doesn't? It's one of those things for me. Before you start calling for another guy's job, you better have a replacement. And the Broncos are in mid-form right now. We're talking about coaching changes and stuff like that, and people already wanting different offensive coordinators in here, stuff like that. Change is not what the Broncos need in terms of personnel at coaching. Would you agree with that?
Well, I think that the special teams coach could be gone last week, and I would be. But I mean, again, I don't want guys to succeed, guys to be out of jobs, but like enough already, right? Like McMahon, like come on, like it can't be that bad year after year, especially when the Broncos.
It is that bad. It is since 2001. They haven't had a top 10 special teams unit. I mean, so you're right, Nick. I mean, but. So I go back to that last chat, not to cut you off, but it's kind of like, well, the special teams, it wasn't John Elway's fault. Special teams sucked in 2002. It's been one of those things where it's just kind of the culture, I guess. And while you don't want to pride yourself on having a great special teams culture, that can win some games, right?
Yeah. And honestly, I'm going to use this I'm going to totally shift here real quick. I have another trick. I already gave one trick. I know we're totally going out of order here. I did say Dalton Reisner is a trick. And Stu, thank you so much. The Seattle, man, let me know if you're
Halloween, buddy.
Seattle. I know that we're in the middle of a national crisis in the health front, but I think that I would love to. It'd be great to meet any Bronco fans out here in Seattle.
Yeah. I need to see more orange in that. Gosh, forbidden highlighted green state, So Stu, thank you so much. And happy Halloween to everybody in Broncos country joining us here on Mile High Insiders tonight on Saturday night. So I agree with you, man. It's one of those things. We got to see orange out there. I can't stand the Seahawks or Mr. Unlimited.
Apparently John just let us know that he moved to Houston. So still a cool place. But we miss you out here in the Pacific Northwest. I'm going to double down here on the tricks. I did have originally Dalton Reisner written as a trick just because I thought we had a lot of expectations coming into this year, and we were tricked to think that a potential Pro Bowl this season, not even close. But I'm giving him a little bit of the benefit of the doubt. I thought he was playing better before he got injured. So fingers crossed he will turn it around. I think that another trick is just the entire special teams. I mean, from the return game, everything outside of McManus and Sam Martin has been solid, but like it's the coverage units, right? Every single time it's the coverage units, and I'm still holding my breath with the special teams returns on like the punt return. So special teams continues to stay a trick, I think. Oh, and I had Mr. Boggins.
Mr. Boggins.
You're a North Bend guy, actually. Don't lie to me. But let's go to you, Luke. Honestly, I've done back-to-back tricks now. I'm going to be positive from here on out. Let's hear a treat from you.
All right, Broncos country, you ready for this? Garrett Bowles is a trick for me. And why, Luke? Why is Garrett Bowles a trick for you? He's the best left tackle on Pro Football Focus. He's the greatest thing ever. I understand that, but the sample size is still very, very small. Garrett Bowles is right now the best offensive player on the field for the Broncos, and I wholeheartedly believe that. But I have to see more of it. I got to see more consistency. I get the contract and the trade deadlines coming up, and, keep an eye on it, guys, because we don't know what's going to happen. I mean, funny things happen in the NFL in a funny year. So, which Broncos are going to be on the team, which ones won't, we'll find out on Tuesday. We're fixing to find out, as Coach Kubiak would say. But for me, man, Garrett Bowles, it's like I was telling you guys, right? Everybody's eating candy right now. I'm going to take my daughter trick-or-treating later, and she's going to get a box of dots, Nick, and I love dots, but they always find a way of putting the green dots and the yellow dots and the orange dots in there, and only one red or only one purple, only one good kind. So you got to get rid of that nasty candy, and it's not the best, but you're willing to get through it. That was Garrett Bowles the last few years, and we're just now getting to the red piece of that candy. So for me, Garrett Bowles has been a little bit of a trick because I wasn't expecting this, but I'm still looking at him sideways saying, are you going to do me wrong? Don't do me wrong, GB. Don't do me wrong.
Yeah, I'm going to have to push back and give you my first treat on this, and I have Garrett Bowles as a treat. And my candy analogy, I've liked that you've used the dots when you used it in our pre-show as well. Mine is typically Starburst. Those pink Starburst, man. Those are fire. Those are game changers. All the other three people have their preference as far as the core four, with the fruit punch, the orange, and the lemon. But like pink lemonade, if you don't like pink lemonade, just like,
is that the official flavor for it?
I think so. I think it's pink lemonade. Somebody look it up. It might be strawberry.
We need you to do this, John. What do we got you on here for? If you're not looking up our candy flavors, John, having to put up with Nick, Kendell, and I on Mile High Insiders. But no, man, he's just a little bit of a trick, and I see all the pushback I'm getting from the MHH community, and I knew I would. And I'm not trying to bait you guys, I promise, but I like the pushback because it's valid. It's something that argument should be held up. Like, Garrett Bowles is arguably one of the best offensive linemen in the league right now, and Nick, I think you and I are kind of on the same page with Pro Football Focus, right? It's not the end all be all. Now, for some players like Mark Schlereth, who I absolutely love, right? Absolutely love Stick, but he hates Pro Football Focus. He can't stand it. I love listening to him get mad about it just because it's worth the listen. But it's a reference point, just like anything else, right? So, I definitely think that some of the stats and some of the references in Pro Football Focus are accurate with Garrett Bowles because he deserves it. He's definitely improved his game. But let's also take up the notion that holding penalties are getting called way less. And now I'm not just saying that, saying he's a garbage guy because they're not throwing flags. That's not it. He has definitely improved. You've seen the film, Nick. You chart the plays. I mean, his hand placement, right when you think he's going to keep grabbing the outside, he's going inside. His kicks, his power steps have gotten a lot better. So for me, though, I got to go with a trick with Garrett Bowles. And I'm willing to change my mind if you guys can, talk me into him becoming a treat.
Yeah, Garrett Bowles is pulling out a pink Starburst season this year. Honestly, I think when you come to it, it's more of a whiskey conversation. Like if you drink that whiskey right away, it's a little green. Maybe it was taken out of the barrel too soon.
What kind of whiskey are we drinking though?
Oh man,
what whiskey would Garrett Bowles be? Right?
Honestly, I'll be completely honest with you. I'm not a Scotch guy. I really love bourbon though.
Okay, me too.
Elijah Craig is really good. Buffalo Trace is really good.
Buffalo Trace is good.
Yes. So those are always a lot of really good ones. Maybe you're making me think of whiskey. I need some.
Garrett Bowles is Buffalo Trace good. Man.
He's whiskey because you don't want to drink it green out of the barrel. You have to let it age a little bit. You want to let it age. So now you've left him in dark and room condition, not super hot. There's not light getting to it. And it's that year 4, you're busting it out, and man, it was worth the wait. So I'm going to go Garrett Bowles and a whiskey treat even on this one. I think he's been incredible this year, and he might be the guy that's Broncos priority number 1 this offseason. He's playing that well right now.
Yeah. Priority number one. I love it. And we're into it. We're into it deep. And Buana, if you could throw that last one up there from Chris before we get to Mr. Boggins. Chris was asking a quick question. Well, Nick, why aren't the refs throwing the flags? I don't know the answer to that question, but if you were to ask my opinion is it makes a bad product. Right? There's holding on every single play. Ask every offensive lineman that has played in the league or does play in the league. They hold. Defenders hold. I mean, it's just at a certain point, it just ruins the game. Penalty after penalty. You already have the commercial breaks and all that madness. I mean, why do you think that the NFL has really come down and said, slow it down on the holding penalties?
Yeah, no, I think it's also because of the weird offseason where the offensive lines are not going to be as in sync, probably not as fluid. And if you just said it, I mean, football right now has a really good chance to take another step forward, separating from the rest of the leagues right now. I mean, I think I saw that the Giants Redskins game outpaced Game 6 of the World Series this year.
I believe
It's the Giants Redskins, like blah, but like still. So
you mean Washington football team, right? You mean
yes? My gosh!
Can we call them the San Diego Chargers too? Because I'm going to call them the San Diego Chargers. If anyone wants to troll me on that, you go right ahead. I deserve it. But they're Washington the San Diego Chargers and the Washington Redskins on MHI.
Yeah, again, whatever. That team that wears the burgundy and the gold, that they have a terrible owner.
It's awful to write about them because you have to include the Washington football team. I mean, it's terrible.
Yeah, that's just ingrained in my brain. That'll take some work to get over. But anyway, coming back, it's football's prime chance. It's got a chance to even take further, become America's game right now. And I think that if you had a weird offseason like this and you were calling holds like normally, you have a really just gummed up game. It would be slow. It would be clunky. So I think they're letting the guys play a little bit, and it's resulting in a better product. Sometimes frustrating because when you're the defense and you're getting held, I mean, you see Bradley Chubb's jersey getting ripped around. It's like, come on, call the gosh darn hold.
And those jerseys are so tight too, right?
Yeah.
So like when you see that 55 and it's being stretched out, you're like, dude, Bradley Chubb needs somebody to help him get his shoulder pads on. The jerseys are that freaking tight. But and maybe John could throw that up there too. I had somebody come at me in the chat with saying I don't look like a bourbon guy. I look like a fruity girly drink guy. And to that point, Richie, dude, yes, and I'll double down on that. I love my cocktails with straws as well. So in my house, I have specific straws I gotta have, and they have to have the little like accordion thing you could stretch out on the end because I'm a child. Yeah. So no, but I'm a whiskey guy, but I'll get down on some girly drinks. I don't care at all. It's Halloween, baby, and it's sweets, right? So we're going over some tricks and some treats. So to me, Nick, Garrett Bowles was a trick. Give me a treat. Give me something that Broncos should be feeling good about, right? Because we walk away from that Chiefs game and I'm scratching my head because I'm thinking, man, Kansas City, they didn't look like the explosive offense we've seen, the past few years. Vic Fangio's defense is top 8 overall, I think second ranked in the red zone. So it was just so frustrating to see the Broncos get in their own way. What is a treat right now the Broncos have going for them on this Halloween?
Well, Malik Reed's been a treat so far. I know that I was just on with
KOA,
Ben Albright and KOA with Ryan Edwards and Ben Albright, and I was making the stance that the Broncos should be looking very hard at edge rusher in the first round of this upcoming draft, given the talent there's a wide array of talent and different types of edge rusher coming up in this class as it looks right now. But Malik Reed's played well. I don't know if he's the guy that you want as a starter, and I know some people will come at me with the stats. I don't scout based on stats. I scout based on trades and film. So Malik Reed, I think he's been very good. I did not have this expectation for him this year. I'd be really excited about him being that first guy off the bench, that third edge rusher. But I mean, considering everything, how he's playing, it's not always the best against the run, but he's getting home. He's got good closing speed. And also he's got some coverage ability off that edge as well, which I know that Vic Fangio likes as well. So I really do think that Malik Reed, he's been very good. He's definitely been a treat this season. And he's becoming, if not a potential starter in the future, a really, really good backup. And if there's any position you want a plethora of guys, maybe cornerback would be number one, but edge rusher's got to be right up there too. So big old treat from Malik Reed.
Yeah, and everybody get over to milehighhuddle.com and check out Nick's piece that he just wrote today, going over everything from what to expect maybe on the trade deadline that's coming up right around the corner, going over some tricks and treats of his own, if you will, in-depth analysis on milehighhuddle.com. And I know Eric Trickle wrote a piece talking about Malik Reed this last week as well, Nick. And it was a good piece because it talked a little bit about The differences in grading sacks, right? Are you coming off of not being blocked at all? What formations are you facing? It's a really good piece, and get at Mile High Huddle and look at all of our work, because we've got guys and gals from all over the place, man, working hard overnights. I always think of Keith over there in Scotland, right, in the UK, working while we're sleeping, man. But
James Campbell.
James Campbell too. Yeah, everybody, man. I mean, so we got, I think Eric's up there in Alaska. We got guys everywhere. So it's great to see Broncos country so diverse all over the world. Malik Reed, dude. Malik Reed's nasty. I love it. Undrafted. Always going to have a soft spot for Malik Reed just because of the undrafted stuff, but he's absolutely a treat. I hope that we see more of Malik Reed. He seems like he's getting on a hot streak, right? And I know I'm not a baseball guy. You're not a baseball guy either, but it almost feels like that. Are you? Are you?
I like baseball.
We just dogged the World Series for what? The Giants?
I mean, it's not football. It's not football.
It's not football. Yeah, no, you're exactly right. But it almost, I don't know, Nick. You know about it more than me, but he feels like that. Not a home run hitter that's just like on a Hall of Fame track, but a home run hitter that's hot right now. So it's like, let's throw him out there and see if he can keep hitting. So I'm really hoping for that with Malik Reed, and hoping that we see more improvements as we move along. And for me, man, I want to see Malik Reed continue to embrace his role, because he just seems like he's super happy to be a Bronco, and Broncos have a rich history at the pass rushing position. So we've got Tom coming in here. Tom, thank you so much for joining MHI, and please get at Nick Kendell and I and John. Nick, give Tom some pushback if you need to, but Tom is saying
that's a good score.
27-24 Broncos, baby. 27-24. He's looking at Drew Lock going 23 for 37 with 2 touchdowns. Tom, one thing I do not see on that super chat is any interceptions. Man, what do we think about Tom's prediction right now? We'll get into our predictions a little bit later, but Drew Lock, man, turnover machine. Talking about Melvin Gordon and turnover machine. Drew Lock's been a turnover machine a little bit of himself. Do you see a bounce back game for number 3?
Okay, well, I guess that depends on how much of a bounce you're talking about, because that Chiefs game was it was definitely the worst game of his career, and it was hard to watch. I mean, there's no other way to put it. He made mistake after mistake. His mechanics were all over the place, and because of that, his accuracy was terrible. So, I mean, he better bounce back somewhat, because if he plays like that again, people are going to be calling for Brett Ripien. So, like, you can't play that level again, especially against a Chargers defense that is dinged up. No Derwin James. I think Desmond King is out now as well. So they obviously have some good edge rushers, but overall pretty good. And, hey, John, let's get Boggins super chat up here. I don't want to leave the Seattle guy out of here, a North Bend guy. So we got Mr. Boggins. How you doing today? Thank you very much for commenting here and joining us today. Thank you, everybody, who's joining us today. Happy Halloween. We have Vaughn, Kareem, Simmons, Boye, Casey, Johnson, and Gordon. Who do you think is still at Bronco next year? Hashtag RBM, hashtag Nick's RBM fund. Oh, you hurt me. You really hurt me. I think that Kareem will still be here next year. I think Boye will still be here next year. I think Johnson will still be here next year. I'm not sure about Gordon. It really comes down to what happens with his guarantees given the DUI. I really don't know if Simmons is going to be here. I do think that Vaughn is still going to be here. So I really don't know about Simmons. I really don't. I mean, they approached him. He didn't get one. And now you have the Garrett Bowles versus Justin Simmons thing where you can only tag one. And right now it probably has to be Bowles. So it sucks. They should have gotten a deal done. I wish they would have. But I don't know. We're throwing darts at a board here.
And maybe that's a trick or treat in time that Justin Simmons could have went back and looked at that contract he was offered as a treat. I mean, it's hard to say, right? With who's going to set the market and everything like that. It's just and the current circumstances in the NFL and the world, really. It's just so hard to tell. And Justin's played so inconsistent. It's for me, man, I don't think Vaughn's back. I think we've probably seen the last of Vaughn. Although good news on the Vaughn end, right? I mean, he's out of his boot. He's walking around. No more scooter, so he's not scooting around anymore. Vaughn's back out there, and that's a guy that they need in the locker room. So we got Richie Rich coming in here as he continues to generously. I butchered that. Generously. As he generously continues to contribute to our show. I think we need to talk about the treat that is our secondary, the corners mainly. We really have done well there. And I completely agree, Rich. And that's one of the things that I wanted to mark for my treat. I mean, how good is this? I don't know, this cornerback from Iowa? You know anything about this cornerback from Iowa? This is Michael Jamudia, number 23, man. I mean, dude is playing out of his mind. I did not see this coming at all, Nick. I don't know who did. Maybe he had Donatello, maybe Vic. I mean, they wanted him so bad, right? And we're thinking, really? Zone corner in the draft? You know?
Well, here's a stat for you. There's been a lot of good secondary players in programs over the past few years. Obviously, Alabama, LSU, FSU get some hype, but they haven't been as good recently. But the University of Iowa, they're 0-2 right now. God bless it. I'm not happy about that. But over the last 3 years, no program has more interceptions. So Michael Jamudia playing extremely well. He's physical. I do think he can work on his tackling technique a little bit. Sometimes it's a little high. Would like him to break down more, but he definitely looks like a treat. I think Michael Jamudia. I don't know if he's ever going to be an alpha corner, like that primary guy that you want. When with Vic Fangio, they play like 3-by-1, where you kind of have a safety, linebacker, and cornerback on one side with a singular dominant corner on the other, hopefully dominant. And I don't know if you ever want him to be that number one guy, but in this scheme right now, playing that Prince Amukamara role for Vic Fangio and Ed Donatell, I mean, he's as good as any Bronco cornerback since Roby came in and was that nickel corner during his contract. And he was really good between Chris Harris Jr. and
he was a great role player.
Yeah.
Great role player. Yeah, it's weird, right? How you got to find your role in the secondary. You know, there's like you've got your starting running back, and what's that old term? Bell cow running backs, right? I know you love running backs, and I'm not going to let you get away with that Iowa stat, dude. Of Iowa with interceptions. Well, when is Michael Jamudia going to start intercepting some balls? Because that's my only critique, dude. Because every week I'm like, this is the week, man. This is the week. And, you know, just because I'm ready for it, man. He's puts himself in such a good position to defend that ball. I'm just so impressed with him, and it feels like Ed Donatell, man. I'm gonna give Ed Donatell a treat, dude. I don't think that this guy gets enough credit because I think too often we're caught up in Vic Fangio and his grasp and unwillingness to ever let go of the defense, right? We saw Rose let go of Jack on the Titanic. I think that's something we'll never see with Vic. I don't think he's ever going to let that defense go, dude, for better or for worse. So I would agree, man. I mean, an absolute treat, Michael Jamudia. And hey, I got a question to ask you. I know Pabby's an Iowa person too. I got some Iowa neighbors, and they were asking me, and I'll open it up to the chat, Beggar's Day. Do you know about Beggar's Day? Okay.
Nope,
so
no
they told us, so they asked, do you guys know what Beggar's Day is? And we're like, no. And they're like, yeah, we figured as soon as you give us that face. They said in Iowa that they practice Beggar's Day, which is trick-or-treating on October 30th. Then on October 31st, that's for Halloween parties only. So children, adults, stuff like that. Are you picking up what I'm throwing down?
I mean, trick-or-treat growing up for me was always on the day before Halloween. Okay. And I know that originally it was called Beggar's Day, where kids would go door to door. And then it became in the 40s and 50s, it became much more mischievous. And then a lot of cities and towns tried to make it more of a structured giving treats to people because there were people causing ruckus and mischief instead. So I think that I didn't know it was called Beggar's Day. I just always it's like on the calendar for my little planner growing up at elementary school. Say like the 30th.
Yeah, it's an official
Halloween.
Yeah, it's like it's a legit thing. And when I heard that this morning, I'm like, I can't wait to bring this up on the show tonight. Nick will be all over it, right? So yeah, man, it's one of those things, dude, where it's just like, that's interesting, especially when it's every place practices things a little bit different. And we hope everybody's having a safe and happy Halloween. And however you choose to celebrate, y'all are celebrating with us, which is the most important thing. And thank you very much. We've got Cody Potter coming in with a super chat, $5. Thank you so much, Cody. You help us be our own superstars every night, man. So thank you. Treat to me is Albert Okwuegbunam. Maybe not this year, but his future is bright in a 2 tight end set. Bowles, well, he's the whiskey sour. I predict Gordon's revenge game. Denver 20, Chargers 10. Man, there's a lot there. Now, Nick, you wrote about Albert this week. I read your article piece on milehighhuddle.com. What do you have to tell Cody? I mean, is he right that Alberto's a treat? I mean, he's a developing treat. He may not be that candy that you have right now, but maybe it's that new candy bar that's going to be coming out next year, right? That's going to be the best thing ever.
I guess he's a Tootsie Pop, right?
Oh, you don't know what you're going to get. There you go.
You got to do 1,000 licks, right, to get to the center. So it's going to take a little bit of time. You got to do a little work on it. But I think that the center of Albert Okwuegbunam's game, when you are that big and you could run like that, The finer parts, they need a little polishing, the blocking, the route running, the playbook. I think that's all going to come in time. And if it wasn't such a weird offseason, maybe you wouldn't have as much of an issue with that. But I think that he's not displacing Noah Fant. I don't think he has the fluidity that Noah Fant has. But when you have two guys that are that size that can run away from linebackers, it's an issue. So, again, a lot to work on for both those guys. Actually, Noah Fant's blocking has taken a big step forward this year. I think people should probably get away from, Noah Fant can't block narrative, because that's not what I'm seeing at all. And also, you're not seeing the field at Iowa if you don't block at tight end. But you won't. Like, you will not see the field.
Well, that's always been my thing, is Noah has been hesitant in the past to block. It's to me, it's not a matter of is he competent or not. Yes. I mean, sign me up. He checks all the boxes. And that's something that your guy Dallas Clark talked about when he was coming out in the draft. He's like, dude, this kid's the real deal. If he hones in on his blocking, I think he has too. I think he's been a huge improvement.
I got a comment on this one. Derek Wright, go back and watch the game last week and watch Noah Fant wincing in pain out there playing. I don't think anybody should question his toughness. He was out there dinged up, and he was frustrated too, man. Locke was airballing him, and he was working to get open despite being on a bad ankle. Noah Fant was frustrated. I mean, you heard him talk about it too. He's frustrated, but I mean, man,
Derek's got you riled up, man. Derek, you got to throw in a running back comment after that real quick too, man. I could feel Nick's blood starting to boil from here. But no, Nick, you're exactly right, dude. I think Noah Fant has definitely taken a progression with who he is on this team as well. And he talked about that a little bit this week. He talked about how he explains why the defense is upset with the offense, and they should be. He took the PC line, and all that, which is good. Mm-hmm. And everybody take note. That's how you should do it when you're in the NFL. But it's one of those deals where it would have been really easy for Noah Fant to come out and be like, dude, it would have been nice for me to get 8 targets like Albert O, considering, I'm the number 1 draft pick, and he didn't. And I think he sees in the long run that Albert O is going to benefit his game. These two can work together. And that's something that, I know your article really shed a lot of light on. It doesn't have to be just one or the other. Two things can be true at the same time.
Yeah. And both, again, right now, the offensive playbook, as far as what they can call an Alberto on the field, is a bit limited because of his blocking and some of the route concept stuffs, but it's going to get better. And unfortunately, with the way this season's going, it's probably you're going to sink and swim with the young guys and let them learn out there doing it live. So that's just the way it's going. We got a Nick, here is your feel good comment.
I had to throw that in there.
Okay. He will try too hard to fumble or turnover. Oh, well, I'm bummed about paying a running back that much, especially when I was like, you know what, I'm giving it a chance. I said he's stock up. I did stock up with stock down with Carl. Mm-hmm. And after that Jets game, I mean, he really put the offense on his back. And I was like, you know what, maybe he can be okay, because the contract isn't super long and it's just 2 years. He's in his prime, although running backs are as good as they'll ever be their rookie season. At least that's what the majority of the data says. But still, crashing back down. He's been a trick. And also, guys, speaking of something that is going to be a treat, I got a treat yesterday in the mail.
What'd you get?
Guys, I got to do it real quick. Bear with me.
Here we go. Oh, Swaggy P. Get your huddleuppod.com, yo.
Came in the mail for me today. It's the slick hand. I'm going to get right up in. Oh.
Get all up in that craw. All up in that craw. Guys,
absolute treat.
Go get this hat, dude. One of my good friends, Adam Fry, designed our MHI logo, dude. And this thing is just so hot. I saw the homie Cecil Lammy rocking it on Twitter, and Nick, you're rocking it. You guys are just making my day, dude, because I love this thing, man. This is the dopest logo. So go get yours at huddleuppod.com. Get your swag on. Be sure to go grab some of Nick and Carl's stuff from Building the Broncos, Huddle Up Pod, and the Dove Valley Deep Divers. We got great stuff, man. Face masks, hats, shirts, you name it, coffee mugs, right? I saw some pictures, and it's great, guys, because when you guys get some of this stuff and get that swag, send the pictures out on Twitter, because we want to see you guys, and we want to know where y'all are at, and we want to see you repping your orange and blue. And that's some stuff that we got to see this week. I know Bawana's been retweeting some stuff, and I love it. I love to see a community get together, and especially one with the Broncos, just Broncos country, so knowledgeable. And that's why you see some of these tricks and treats coming out there, and guys are like, wait, Luke, Garrett Bowles is the best thing ever. Why is he a trick? Nick, are you kidding me? Melvin Gordon's going to turn it around. This is his revenge game. We love to have this chat with you guys. So as we continue with our tricks or treats, I saw something in here. Maybe Bawana can pull it up. Shelby Harris, Nick. Shelby Harris has been making some news this week for not just his playing well on the field and his outburst after a flag, but lunging at coach. Shelby Harris, man, what do you make of Shelby Harris? And before I ask you, is he a trick or a treat? What do you make of Shelby Harris and that bizarre behavior we saw on the Kansas City Chiefs game?
There's a fine line to walk here where it is unacceptable, but also they're both men and it was in the heat of the moment. And it seems like they've buried the hatchet between each other. Obviously, it's something that you don't want to see ever, but it's also a high emotion game. And they were very frustrated, especially the defense, considering what they were doing to Patrick Mahomes. And again, you never want to see it, but I think we need to have a little bit of nuance in that conversation and allow a little wiggle room and also allow people to make mistakes and then learn from that, apologize. He doesn't have to be skewered for it. So it was a mistake. He'd be the first to tell you that. It seems like they buried the hatchet. So
yeah.
He's been a treat for me. I was very, I think I was probably as skeptical of Shelby Harris as anyone in the Mile High Huddle network, because I thought that although batted balls are a nice stat, I want my interior defensive linemen to be sturdy at the point of attack, not getting not getting blown up off their gaps, and also creating pass rush. And Harris did not do that totally last year. There's a lot of coverage sacks and a lot of sacks where Vaughn would, and Derek Wolfe, who had a great year last year, would help create openings for Shelby Harris. And this year, he's the one who's helping create openings for other people. He's cashing in. So I know he's going to be 30 this offseason. This is his big chance to get paid, but he's been a treat this season. It would be a shame if the Broncos lost to the Chargers and ended up trading Harris, just because then you'd be really green on the interior defensive line, especially after losing Purcell. I think it's a possibility. I hope for nothing but the best for Shelby Harris going forward. He's been really good, and he's helped Chubb a lot as well on that side of the line. So we'll see what happens, but I think he's been a treat so far this year. I was one of his biggest critics coming into this year, but the ball don't lie, as they say. He's been great on tape. He's been making an impact, and he's been one of the better players on the defense.
I like your answer. I like your answer a lot because it's a responsible answer. And can we throw that up there real quick, Moana? That was awesome. Stu Meat, thank you so much. Happy Halloween, buddy. Appreciate you joining the Mile High Insiders. Go get a hat, buddy. We want to make sure you get your swag on and get everything. Appreciate you guys so much for joining us on Halloween, man. This is great. Trick or treat. Shelby Harris, an absolute treat. Now, before I get into why I'm enjoying Shelby Harris's play on the field, I wonder what Vic said to him, right? There's it had to be, did Vic call him a name or something, right? To get that response out of Shelby, I'm thinking, did he call him a freaking idiot or something like that, right? So, Chris, what we're referring to is, was it a roughing the passer or what was the actual flag on Shelby Harris? It was some personal foul or something like that. All right, this isn't basketball, or you didn't foul out or anything like that, but no, it was some ridiculous foul, and it happened so fast that I didn't think anything of it at the time. But as I start to go back and I'm looking at it, it's like him and coach said they cleared it up, but yeah, dude, you can't lunge at your coach, and you're exactly right. This is an emotional game. Anybody who's ever been around football, it's an emotional game. I come at this just like you, with very balanced expectations, and I'm willing to bend on either side. I think that people do not respond well to being yelled and screamed at. I know I don't. If you come at me and start yelling and screaming that I drink girly drinks, Rich, and stuff like that I'm not going to like it. But I do drink girly drinks, so it's okay. No, but one of the things is, they're grown men. Things are going to happen. Tempers are going to happen. We fight amongst each other and stuff like that. We're all humans. But, I don't want this to become a theme. I don't want Shelby to take this into the defensive lineman, and I think Bill Kolar squashes this right away because that guy's tough as freaking nails. But you guys are right. I see it coming up right now saying, they squashed it. Everything's all good. But Shelby Harris is an absolute treat. He shouldn't be here, Nick. He shouldn't be a Bronco right now. I mean, he went through a roller coaster of an offseason before this current state of the world even hit, and we'll find out if he's a Bronco even next week. But you brought up Shelby Harris on the not trading block, but could Shelby Harris be traded? Sure, I think so. I mean, if you're a top 10 defense and you're always looking to improve an interior defensive lineman, especially as players are unhealthy due to a certain thing going around the league or injuries or anything like that. Shelby Harris is playing lights out right now, and I've got no problems with his play on the field. I also like that he seems to be shepherding young defensive linemen like McTelvin Agim. I know Patrick Morris body slammed McTelvin Agim in training camp, and Shelby Harris hated that so much that he ran from the sideline and got in Patrick Morris's face. It's like, dude, we don't do that here, man. You know, it's like Wakanda, right? We don't do that here. But it's just one of those things, man, where I love that, because it's like, okay, you're establishing the culture for these young dogs, but how can you be doing that if you're lunging at coach?
Yeah, that's definitely a huge issue. And it wasn't unsportsmanlike conduct on it would have been 4th and 9, but it was an automatic first down, and Henny ran in a touchdown. So game was pretty much out of hand at that point, but unfortunate. And Luke, we got another treat listed here for you that you also took as well. You're the cornerback guy today.
Yeah. Bryce Callahan. Gary, what's up? Gary Mahal. I hope I'm pronouncing your last name okay. Thank you so much for joining us. Callahan has been a treat. You're darn right he has been, Nick. This is a guy that he was like public enemy number 2 behind Garrett Bowles for me. I mean, this is really against the Titans. That's the first time we've seen him ever suited up as a Bronco, right? So the knock on Bryce Callahan has been he's never been able to play a full season healthy. Well, knock on wood, he's healthy. And not only is he healthy, but he's playing well. He's playing complimentary football. Ed Donatel and him are gelling. I can see why it's kind of those conversations. Was it worth the wait? Kind of like we're having with Garrett Bowles and some of these other players. And ultimately, we're trying to figure out if the Broncos got good ROIs, right? Return on their investments. It's still a little early with Bryce Callahan, but I'm definitely impressed. What say you? Gary's happy. I'm happy. He's a treat. You can't be calling him a trick, right?
No, absolutely not. We are definitely concerned about him coming into the year because, I mean, overall, the cornerback group was really unknown. AJ Boye, injured multiple past years, starting to trend downwards. What's he going to be like this year? Bryce Callahan, injured the last 2 years with a foot injury. Michael Jamudia, a complete unknown. Saying Bassey, complete unknown. Devontae Bosby, who's gone. I know a lot of people are upset about that, but again,
with VJ,
almost a complete unknown. So yeah, it's I think that Bryce Callahan's been incredible this year. I think he's the 8th rated cornerback according to Pro Football Focus. His coverage has been great, and he's been playing. I mean, now that he's moved in sub packages to that slot position, he's even better there than on the boundary. Although he did hang on the boundary, which good for him being a smaller guy. He was fine there. But now when you can have Ojemudia, Callahan, and Boye on top of Kareem Jackson and Justin Simmons, I mean, the Broncos are as good as any team I can think of off the top of my head as far as the nickel starting defense. Now, there's questions about depth at safety and cornerback beyond those guys. And gosh, knock on wood, because how injuries have happened this year, but they're really good. So, I mean, absolutely, Bryce Callahan has been a treat this season because, I mean, what expectation? I mean, we definitely made jokes about like Bryce Callahan. Who's that? Number 29. I've never seen that guy before because we never saw him out there last year. They paid him. So speaking of which, the sidebar here, and we've been doing trick or treats. How about ghosts so far this year? We got Juwan James has been a ghost, obviously. Mark Barron, a mega ghost. And yeah, exactly. And also Jarrell Casey. I mean, even when he was playing, he was kind of ghosting a little bit because Shelby Harris was playing better than him. Jarrell Casey, good against the run, but as far as a pass rusher, he was ghosting a little bit. So, again, injuries suck, and I don't fault James for pulling out this season, but I am not holding my breath for how he's going to play next year because of 2 years off. So, ghosting, those guys are ghosting.
I love it. Ghosting. We didn't even think about that. And speaking of tricks and treats, we got Jim Hilton coming in, one of our loyal Facebook members of the MHH community. Mile High Huddle is my treat. Thank you, Jim. We really appreciate that, man. That means more than you know. We're football junkies. We're football nerds. We love it. We just can't get enough of it, and neither can you guys. And that's why we're here. We're able to be here on a Saturday night, Halloween, with you guys. So happy Halloween. Yeah, dude, it's ghosting, man. Ghosting. It's one of those things where some players, either you're going to play or you're not. We'll have to see with Juwan James. Now, Cody Potter coming in. Jake Butt is the worst ROI for the Denver Broncos. I had Jake Butt as one of my tricks, Nick, and we talked about it briefly before the show. I feel like Jake Butt got so much run, right, in training camp. He was the training camp darling. Let's just say it. He was more popular than Alberto. People are still trying to figure out, including me, how to say Alberto's name, and maybe Mike Tirico can get that right one day. But Jake Butt, I'm just not seeing it, man.
Yeah.
It's, when there's just too much talent in that room right now with Alberto and Noah Fant, and it's a good story. I wish Jake Butt well, but man, I'm so tired of hearing about these banged up Big Ten tight ends that just come into the Broncos and hang out in the injury room, man. That's it.
Well, speaking of Big Ten tight ends, I also have another tight end on the list, Nick Vinnette. I think that Nick Vinnette, especially that Patriots game with some of the more power blocking schemes, he was actually blocking pretty darn well. I think there is a niche role for him there. But as far as eating snaps, it really does depend on how heavily you want to lean on the run game versus the pass game. If you are doing the run game, maybe there's some talk to have Vinnette in there instead of Okwuegbunam. But Nick Vinette's been a trick. Honestly, what is he providing that Jeff Hireman didn't provide?
He falls down in open space against his former team, the Steelers. I don't know. That's what he provides for one. Yeah, it's not, it's frustrating, Nick. It's frustrating. Yeah. And, here's the thing, man. Come at me, right, wrong, or indifferent. If we have different takes, I'm more than willing to listen. But let's be honest with what we're seeing. What we're seeing isn't good enough, Nick. That's why you're on KOA with Ben and Ryan. That's why I'm on the fan with Cecil and Nick. We give our honest analysis, right? And it kills me, man. It kills me to start dogging Locke. It kills me to start ripping Pat Shurmur's offense. But, you're 28th in the league for a reason. 3 wide receiver sets are not working. Nick, you talked about it. Utilize these tight ends more. Can we start running some 21 personnel? Your handoffs, your powers, things with Philip Lindsay that are working. Let's capitalize on those things instead of just go away from them, because, man, Drew Lock's not doing himself any favors. Because, no, I'm not a Drew Lock apologist or anything like that, and I think he can do well. Whether or not he's going to do it is ultimately up to the Broncos and him. But Pat Shurmur's offense, I've got a real bone to pick with it right now, Nick. I mean, I just don't feel like I don't feel like he's catering to this young quarterback, and I've got no problem sticking my neck out there saying it. Now, Drew can clean up his games and stop turning over the freaking ball and become a leader. I mean, first thing I hear about the defense, screaming after the game, I'm thinking, where's your quarterback? Where's your quarterback during that? Is he just sitting over there quiet in the locker, sinking down, letting the team get screamed at? Or is he saying, hey, man, I got this. I'm going to pick this up. We're good. We talk about that swag. Swag only gets you so far, and swag only works when you're winning, Nick. But I just hope Pat Shurmur and Drew Lock can somehow bridge this miscommunication and this gap that is the Broncos' 28th ranked offense.
I'm just curious why you think that Drew Lock didn't have anything to do with the yelling in that game. I mean,
really? Okay. Something I don't?
No.
Okay, Oh, okay. All right. Because here's my thing. I'm just envisioning, right? So I'm envisioning a locker room. And the first thing that I think Broncos country likes to think back is to Aqib Talib, right? Shutting down Russell Okung. Those are 2 different eras, 2 different teams, Super Bowl winning defense. Russell Okung, he's whatever. So I think those are 2 different scenarios. Obviously, Bradley Chubb's heard about that, and those things have happened, and they've been brought up. But it was just, I visualized the defense ripping the offense up a little bit, and I heard Judy saying, "Let's tighten up the practice a little bit more" and stuff like that. And I like it, but I hate to see Drew go up there on the press conference and fall on the entire sword, and Pat Shurmur say pretty much like, "Hey, yeah, he needs to play better." Like, well, can you give up some ground too? So for me, man, I wonder about that. So talk to me a little bit about what you think happened after the end of the game, or what your perception was after the yelling and screaming, if you will.
I will say that I am concerned that as far as the patience that Broncos country may not be exhibiting for the quarterback, I don't think it's just the fan base that might be concerned and might not have the most amount of patience for a quarterback play that's struggling. So
I don't hear that, Broncos. Can you say that one more time? Can you say that one more time? Because we're on Mile High Insiders, and I want you guys to listen very closely. Now, Nick's covered football. I've covered football for a little while. Say that one more time, Nick.
I'm just saying that obviously this is a team that's seen the offense struggle because of the quarterback position many times, and a lot of people are preaching patience for Drew Lock this year. Rightfully so. He should get these next 10 games. But you also are talking about an emotional team, an emotional defense coming off a loss like that where they pretty much blanked Patrick Mahomes.
Yep.
And the quarterback play wasn't good enough. And I think that some of the frustrations were directed at the pass game. And that's not just from the defense too. That's from the guys that aren't getting the targets that they think they should on time. So again, he 10 games. We're going to see what happens. But I do think that the impatience and the concern is not just in the fans.
I agree. And I wanted you to echo that for one other reason. And I tell John all the time, I tell everybody all the time, even myself, I have to say it so I don't just fall for the banana in the tailpipe. Watch what they do, not what they say. Especially
BS. Like when you get party lines, you see the bow tie tighten up and everything, and they're pretty much reading from a prompter with Patrick Smythe breathing down their neck. Patrick Smythe, if you're watching this, you're great at your job. We met at the combine a couple of times. Good dude. But definitely, I mean, gosh, Patrick Smythe, at some point he's going to be working in like Washington, D.C. or something. He's that good at the press stuff.
Dude, I think, we're talking about, absolutely. Patrick Smythe, Eric Schubert, Seth, I mean, great guys over there, Broncos PR, right? They've always got things tightened down. So as we talk about Broncos and how they're handling things, this is great. Charlie, thank you for joining, man. Happy Halloween. Appreciate you so much. What's our offensive line going to be tomorrow, Nick? I mean, man, we got the Chargers in town right now, and Graham Glasgow's popping up for a positive test of that funny little thing that's going on around right now. Mike Munchak's in self-isolation. What are you hearing with that offensive line for tomorrow? Because I got to tell you, man, Bosa's a problem for anybody who's going to be out there at that right tackle position. Go ahead and give us a quick rundown of what you're hearing and what you heard regarding the Broncos offensive line.
Stephen Bumgarner had got it on here. Schlottman, everybody else is playing. Schlottman is going at right guard. And Schlottman, I thought, was okay, especially in pass protection. Not always the best guy at moving people in the run game, but he's the one who should be playing. Moody's probably getting a redshirt year, guys.
Yeah.
So, and also, a lot of people, Eric Trickle brought this one up, and I was like, oh, that one hurt to say. But so everybody was pretty upset about the Broncos taking the injury-prone, high-upside tight end, Jake Butt, and having George Kittle be the next tight end selected, actually the very next pick. I'm really hoping that doesn't happen with the guard position as well, as it pertains to Moody, who had a high upside, good player, but a lot of very scary injuries. And Michael Onwenu, who has been the highest rated interior offensive lineman rookie
Michigan, right?
Yep, from Michigan. Had some weight issues at Michigan, but dominated the Shrine Bowl.
I loved him. Loved him, dude. In the pit, dude. I got goosebumps just now. As soon as you said Shrine, dude, he was dominating the pit, dude. Dominate with John Runyon down there, dude. Oh. Yeah,
he was great, and I'm really hoping that it's not another Butt and George Kittle situation. So Moody gonna have to wait and see on that one. But gosh, I really hope it's not a Jake Butt situation.
Yeah.
So you got a lot of tricks and treats left, Luke. We got to get through some of these.
Man. Okay. What do we? Okay. Alexander Johnson. He's a trick for me right now. Before everybody eats me up, hear me out. The only trick in Alexander Johnson's game is his biggest downfall as a player. He cannot cover. Let's just be honest. I know Travis Kelce had a pedestrian game at best against the Broncos, but hearing some things. Yeah, right. Hearing some things out there, at Broncos practice and stuff like that, even in drills, you've got guys, reporters and everything else that are laughing during the linebacking drills just because these linebackers just can't cover tight ends. They can't cover anybody. And man, that is such a detriment. And I'm not trying to get on the Tyrannosaurus Rex dance or anything like that. Alexander Johnson is a freaking beast on the line of scrimmage. I mean, I would argue that he won you that Jets game, I think. I'll just go ahead and say that right now. He definitely, that was one of his best games, including Josie Jewell as well. So for me, man, it's just such a liability when you can't have any of your linebackers. And I know the Outlaw has improved, but man, covering the tight end, still a problem for the Denver Broncos.
Yeah, it is. I have another treat here just to go quickly. Dotson, he's come in. Elijah Wilkinson, obviously young player, pretty good in the run game, but just so detrimental in the pass game. And when you have a guy that is that much of a weak link in the pass game, you can't run your offense. So Dotson's come in, he stabilized it. He's not incredible, but he's really helped that offensive line, and it's helped the entire unit stabilize. I mean, every single person has played better since Dotson has been entered in the game. So maybe besides Garrett Bowles, who's been playing great the whole time. But, I mean, definitely been a treat. What a good get for the Broncos.
Yeah, absolutely, guys. And with that trade deadline coming up, just watch what we do. Watch what they do. Nick and I were talking before the show, man. We're hearing some rumblings out there, Broncos country. We're hearing some rumblings about things. Not enough of a rumbling for us to start popping off on Twitter or anything like that. But
let's see what happens tomorrow.
Yeah, we'll see. We're fixing to find out, right? And that's one thing. Adam Schefter, dude. I love Adam Schefter. Who doesn't, right? Who doesn't? Do you like Adam? You ever get to meet Adam or anything like that?
I actually did meet him.
Yeah, me too, dude. He's a great guy, right?
Yes, he was not. My favorite was Clayton.
Oh, the professor.
Yes, what a goob. I mean, sorry, I say that endearingly, but I've met him a couple times. And
I would fanboy moment if I could with Clayton, because dude, those guys, man, they're so freaking smart. And when I hear Schefter say, he was asked point blank last week multiple times, hey man, what are you hearing from the Broncos? He's like, nothing right now. Well, Shefty hears everything. Okay. Yeah. So Shefty did say, though, Nick, as we wrap up our show, man, it all depends on if the Broncos, this game means a lot. I would say that this game is your season for the Denver Broncos, because if you are a member of Broncos country, you do understand this. John Elway does not believe in rebuilding. If the Broncos beat the Chargers, in John Elway's mind, they are still competing for a playoff spot, a wild card spot. This isn't me. This isn't Luke telling you that they're going to be a playoff team. You got to look at it as an organization, specifically John Elway. And if John Elway feels like he can make some moves to make this team better if they win against the Chargers, I think you're going to see him maybe pull the trigger. You're definitely going to hear those phone calls, right? Afterwards, well, maybe they were fielding phone calls and the deal just never got done. Things like that. Nick, the Broncos have done a lot of business at the trade deadline or before the trade deadline in the last few years, really.
Yeah, I mean, they've traded away Demaryius Thomas 2 years ago, Emmanuel Sanders last year. There were some other trades that were pretty close. So if the Broncos lose, I mean, I would expect somebody to be moved off the team. And hopefully that's good for them. I mean, Emmanuel Sanders ended up playing. It was really bad for DT because he tore his ACL not long after. But gosh, everything Bill O'Brien even looks at turns to poop. That's Emmanuel Sanders got to play in the Super Bowl. So that was good.
Yeah, that was a win-win. And then what? The Broncos ended up using, I want to say which one of those third round. I like to just think it's Michael Jamudia, right? He brought you.
I think Jamudia was the Broncos' own pick.
Oh, was it? Okay, because there were three, right?
83 was Floyd Cushenberry from the Steelers, and then 95 was McTelvin Najim, who redshirt year, guys. Don't that takes 2 to 3 years. Everybody,
I'm upset. I'm upset about that, Nick. I'm going to eat some crow on that. I'm going to eat some crow on that because I really wanted. I loved him. I fell all over myself at the Shrine Game over him. But Mr. Boggins I know he does, and he needs to develop, and that's why you see Shelby taking him under his wing a little bit there. But as we wrap up here on this Halloween, we got Mr. Boggins, who's been very active, coming up in here with a trick. The trick is Pat Shurmur. He's not scheming enough underneath routes for the yards per catch game with the million weapons we have.
Yeah, and I want to read something real quick here. Bill, you got a cuss word in yours here that I'm not going to pull it up to put it on the screen. I'm going to read through the cuss word. Guys, if you're dropping bad words in here, sometimes that'll give me a laugh, but that means you're probably not going to get put up here. So, Bill, I'm going to read your post here because it does correlate with this. We're just going to get around the curse words. Shurmur needs to take some accountability for the blank show. You guys can probably fill in the blank. The statistical breakdown shows what Shurmur is doing doesn't fit lock, and it disgusts me that all the heat, and I mean all of it, lands on lock. And what about the drops? We lead the damn NFL in drop balls per catchable ball. Why is no one calling that out? It's all on lock, and you guys are guilty of doing that as well. Well, Bill, we appreciate the comment. Going back and watching the all 22, I really think that there is something schematic about trying to be aggressive with the plays, but there are guys who are open underneath that are the third read. Why isn't Locke getting to the check down? So I see Judy open. I see Hamler open. I see Fant open underneath. Either the ball's not getting there that's catchable, or he's just not getting to that read. He's bailing on the pocket beforehand. So definitely there needs to be some talk about Shurmur as well. Shurmur's not going anywhere, guys. If Shurmur's leaving, guess what? Vic Fangio's leaving, and then Elway might be leaving too. So I think that all those guys probably got another year unless something crazy happens. But I definitely think it's a good call. I really do hope that we see them shift the offense from more of a downfield vertical attacking offense, which hurts me because that's exactly what I'd want to run. Mm-hmm. But with Hamler, with Judy, with Fant, with Okwuegbunam, I think you need to work on some of those quick hitters. And I think we're going to see that transition happen. I mean, if you had Cortland Sutton, Tim Patrick on the outside with Judy in the slot, this offense, this bombs away that they're trying to do, I think would make a little more sense because, gosh, they're really missing Cortland Sutton's acrobatic ability above the rim down the field. Bill, that's a good comment, keeping us on it. It's not all on the quarterback, but if you want to be a contender in this NFL, it's kind of all on the quarterback. So again, that's why we're hard about it. And it's quarterback. I think I like to reference a Supreme Court decision where they talked about, I'll just say pornography. That's what it was. It's like, okay, we can't really define it. But you know it when you see it.
We're going off the rails here on Halloween at 6:59 p.m. We've gone from trick or treats to pornography.
I mean, that's the Supreme Court decision.
No, you're right.
That's what they said. That's the same thing with quarterback.
I hear what you're saying, man. And Bill, I appreciate the comment. You clean it up, man, so we can put your comment up there. And Duke, I'm going to get to you in just a sec as we wrap up our show here. Look, man, just look at it for what it is. Take your Drew Lock jersey off for just a second and ask yourself, is there anything that Drew can be doing right now to improve his game? He's staring down half the field. They're not using any high-low reads. I know they're not playing to his strengths. I get it. But Pat Shermer's not throwing interceptions, Bill. Let's just be honest. It's Drew. And I've liked Drew since Missouri. I want it to work. Will it work? We're fixing to find out. But as we wrap up our show, we got Duke Rose coming in here. What's up, big dogs? Happy Halloween, Duke. Who do you think Chris Harris will be guarding? Well, I know who Chris Harris will be guarding. He'll be guarding that Gatorade because homeboy's not – I don't even think – did he travel? Is he even in Denver?
I don't know. Maybe he is. Maybe he still has some friends and family there, although given everything going on right now.
Right. I know he trains in Houston. He's got people down there that he loves, and he's got family there. So yeah, Chris Harris, you're going to see him on that opposite matchup as the Broncos. Darian's coming in here. The pod gets a little wild when Nick is on the pod. Of course, man. That's why we have Nick on this pod. He's MHI through and through. And that's the cool thing about Mile High Huddle as we wrap this up, guys. We've got great podcasts. Give us a like, give us a share, subscribe to our show. Kenneth Booker coming in with his $4.99 super chat. What's up, Ken? Happy Halloween, brother. Is there a player beside Locke that is playing for their job this year? I'm going to double down on Kenneth's question. Is there a player besides Locke that's playing for their job tomorrow? And will that performance dictate whether or not said player will be traded? Is there anybody that sticks out to you, Nick?
Honestly, I think Melvin Gordon's playing for his role. If he has another game where he's dropping the ball like that, then I think, yikes, probably going to be diminished. And with the DUI, somebody said in the comments that his guarantees are all dropped because of DUI. I haven't had that confirmed. I bet you're right, but I have not seen that for sure. So, and what is your guys' best costume ever? Okay, this is the one we're going to get on, and then I'm gonna read us out of here, guys. My best costume ever. So I played in an orchestra. I was an orc dork. Sorry, guys. Played the violin. My mom's an orchestra teacher. I never had a choice. So I went as an old lady once, like a grandma, and handed out candy and scared the hell out of people because they're like, they knew something wasn't right. Like you're not an old woman, you're a young dude. And also when you went as Captain Underpants, which was awesome as well. I had like a full flesh-toned outfit and like I was fat and the skull cap on, and I was also a crossing guard that year, so I was Captain Underpants out with that the red and black speckled cape, wearing my big old underwear, letting people through as Captain Underpants. That was my best one.
You know what's not right about that, Nick, is I dressed up as a woman too for my best Halloween costume. Maybe it's just MHI and who we are. This is getting a little weird, and we're gonna have to close this out. Dude, right, wrong, or indifferent. I was Oprah in 8th grade, and yeah, man, my mom had bought me these pantyhose, and by the end of the day, I looked like a streetwalker because they were shredded, and the makeup was smeared, and no one wants to see pictures. I will break the internet if that happens. But thank you guys so much, man. Happy Halloween to you guys. Thank you for joining Mile High Insiders. Get at us on Twitter. Get at Nick Kendell, MHH, at Luke Patterson, LP. Get at Bawana, John, on Twitter as well. And get at Mile High Huddle, at MHI_football pod. And give us those likes, subscribe, and give us any feedback you've got. So that's all I've got, man. I had a great show with you, Nick, and happy Halloween, Broncos country. Let's get this dub. Although, we're running a little over, I'm just going to tell you, Broncos lose tomorrow, 24-20.
I got them winning. I'm going to go 23-20. I think they're going to win. I think Justin Hurt train. I think he's going to have some highs, but I think the defense, Vic Fangio, I don't think he's played a defense like this yet. And I think that the Broncos defense is going to be irritated, and they're going to get at him. So again, guys, like somebody said here, I can't see who it was, but don't get too high, don't get too low on lock. We've got 10 games left. Got to take the whole sample size. Love y'all. Stay safe. Happy Halloween. If you're going out there with kids, please stay safe. And we'll see y'all.
Check that candy. Check the candy.
Yeah, check the candy. So, all right, guys, go Broncos. We'll see you soon.